Nature's power can amaze with its beauty and sheer force, capable of destroying everything in its path. In this video, you'll witness incredible natural phenomena captured by onlookers, massive tornadoes, devastating floods, and volcanic eruptions. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss new videos. Let's get started. Residents of China and Vietnam suffered from Super Typhoon Yagi, which had recently swept through these countries. Many people witnessed this massive natural event. The storm's winds were of incredible force. Those outside could barely stand on their feet. The wind overturned vehicles and uprooted trees. Dozens of people trying to take shelter in their homes or find safe spots near buildings. The typhoon's destructive power is truly astounding. Just look at these terrifying scenes. This is extremely dangerous, as they can injure people caught outside or filming from their balconies. Thousands of debris pieces from houses, vehicles, rooftops, and other litter are flying through the air. The wind strength is unbelievable. A car on the road was turned into a tumbleweed. Even buildings couldn't withstand it. A glass panel fell off a high-rise. Ships at sea were trapped. It looks like a scene from a disaster movie. The wind spins the boat, and one ship that was docked at the pier couldn't handle the wind's force. Witnesses saw it tilt to one side, and soon it lost balance and capsized. The massive boat started to sink. People weren't even safe in their own homes, as windows shattered and flooding began. People were blown away by the wind, and everything loosely fastened was strewn across the streets. Approximately 60 people died, and hundreds were injured. The storm left 800,000 homes without electricity, and thousands of houses were damaged. Some streets turned into rivers where cars floated instead of boats. The effects of this powerful typhoon are unbelievable. Wind turbines collapsed due to the wild winds. These massive structures, designed to be as stable and durable as possible, were knocked down. They bent under pressure, blocking nearby roads. Only a few wind farms withstood the typhoon. People standing next to the debris of the turbines looked like ants. The damage amounted to billions of dollars. Even after the typhoon had ended, the aftermath continued. A driver was heading towards a bridge that had been severely damaged by floods in Vietnam. In front of him, a truck and a motorcyclist were crossing, and suddenly the bridge collapsed. The truck driver didn't even have time to react, and his vehicle plunged into the water. Other drivers quickly stopped. It's unknown if the truck driver even survived. Many onlookers rushed to help after witnessing the bridge's collapse. A driver was caught in a storm during his trip. His dashboard camera captured the start of a tornado forming. He saw a power line collapse ahead, followed by a bright flash. He decided to turn around and drive away. However, it was already too late. Thousands of pieces of debris were swirling in the air, crashing into his car. The windshield was shattered by the impact, and even though it was daytime, the sky darkened due to the storm. The wind was so strong that some poles bent and fell over. Hopefully, no one was injured and everyone managed to reach safety. Flash floods often occur in mountainous areas due to heavy rainfall, flooding nearby villages. The streets turn into rivers of water, mud, and clay, sweeping away everything in their path. Look at this woman trying to fight the flood with a simple mop. She's clearly not prepared for her yard or house to be flooded, so she's doing everything she can to push the water away. It's all she can do after all in this situation. A powerful storm hit China, and the wind began destroying buildings, tearing out windows. Many people witnessed this event and filmed it on their phones. Just watch as household items and curtains are flying off balconies. Windows were shattered in many homes. A man was filming what had happened outside when he saw his balcony give way. The windows were torn out and fell down. His belongings also started flying away. The man was terrified and began screaming. Just imagine what people must have felt during the storm, where even in their own homes, they couldn't feel safe. These people also had their windows blown out and fled to the hallway as their possessions were blown out of the windows. Look at how strong the wind is just inside the house. People can't even close the doors. These men grab the walls to stay on their feet and avoid being blown out of the high-rise window. Some were shocked to discover that their apartments no longer had large panoramic windows. They couldn't withstand the wind and were ripped out. Visitors at a pool witnessed an earthquake in Mexico. It was quite strong, with a magnitude of about 7.6. Just look at the waves forming in the pool. At that moment, there was a man in the water. He probably decided to stay in as if it were fun for him, and even started filming it on his phone. However, it was very dangerous. Just look at how nearly half of the water spilled out in just a few seconds. The chandeliers and everything on the terrace began to sway violently. But the tourists didn't seem scared. They remained in their spots. A massive storm struck several European countries simultaneously. Storm Boris swept through Austria, Czechia, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, and Hungary. Some cities were completely underwater. Just unbelievable. These houses were flooded up to the roofs. Imagine how much water there must be. It's like a real sea in the middle of the city. The streets turned into raging rivers. A wooden structure covering garbage bins floated away, destroying everything in its path, including cars. Look at the water level. It nearly reaches the roof of cars. People climbed onto rooftops and moved to higher floors to avoid being submerged. Trash, even large wooden beams, floated down the narrow streets, unable to withstand the rushing water. I mean, just look at the scale of the disaster and imagine the damage these people suffered from. The first floors of homes were completely flooded. It's like a city in the middle of a lake. Abandoned cars floated down the streets, carried by the water to different parts of the city. Near houses, debris and trash piled up, carried by the currents. All of this was once people's homes, their fences and structures, but now it's just heaps of scrap in the middle of flooded streets. When the water receded, rescue teams and city residents saw the aftermath of this horrific storm. Roof pieces lay scattered in the streets, and huge trees were uprooted. Many buildings were destroyed as well, with only a few walls and roofs remaining. Cars were found in gardens and other strange places where the water had carried them. People had to drain the water and mud from the remaining houses. Rescue workers pumped out the remaining water with special pumps. Thousands of homes were completely destroyed, and thousands more were no longer safe to live in. Water eroded many roads and destroyed bridges. It's hard to imagine the extent of damage the storm had caused. Several people witnessed a massive landslide near the road in a mountainous area. It's unclear what caused it, but the scale is truly impressive. Hundreds of tons of earth started collapsing. It looked like a waterfall that just kept expanding. Drivers nearby quickly backed up to avoid being buried. It's incredible how this slope collapsed. All the trees were uprooted, and they, along with rocks and soil, slid down. Some of the boulders were enormous. They split into nearly perfect square slabs. There was a parking lot at the base of the hill. The owners clearly didn't have the best day. The road that passed through the base of the mountain was also buried. Hopefully, no one was injured. A massive tornado in Didsbury, Canada takes your breath away. The scale is unbelievable. The giant twister slowly rotates, literally connecting the sky to the ground. Its span was several kilometers. Drivers passing by the field stopped to capture this incredible phenomena. Just imagine the shock and fear of the people living in that little house when they saw the tornado heading towards them. Residents of Poland are struggling with ongoing flooding. To save their cities, people and rescue teams are trying to contain and redirect the water flows using makeshift dams made of sandbags. Emergency evacuations are taking place in nearby towns. Some cities are already submerged. Rivers are overflowing. Notice how much debris and trash have washed ashore. Cars are floating in the water. Just look at how these turbulent waves toss these vehicles. Bridges had to be closed because they could collapse at any moment from the force of the water. Stunning footage of a massive flood in China. The rivers are overflowing due to heavy rains. Just look at the incredible force of the water. It's like huge explosions and clouds. Real waterfalls and rapids have formed at the foot of the mountains. Because tons of debris and trash are being carried down the rivers, many bridges have been destroyed. Luckily though, they were closed in time, so no one was hurt. This bridge across the river broke as if it were made of cardboard. Bridges that were still under construction were also destroyed by the water. The construction supports couldn't hold up and were swept away by the current. Pieces of buildings floated down the streets with the water. Notice how an entire roof is drifting along. A man went on vacation to the scenic mountains of China to enjoy nature, but he suddenly witnessed one of the most spectacular natural phenomena, an avalanche. He noticed snow slowly sliding down from the mountain peaks. Since he was completely safe on the other side of the river, he took out his phone to film this incredible sight. The avalanche, gaining speed, rushed down like a powerful waterfall, heading toward the river. The man hears a loud, deep rumble, reminiscent of thunder. This entire mass of snow crashes into the water, almost half burying it. The man was incredibly lucky to not only witness this amazing phenomena, but also capture it on video. It's a rare moment that few manage to record. Residents of Iceland frequently witness volcanic eruptions. For them, it's a common occurrence. They don't even really pay much attention to it and just keep playing volleyball. But it really looks powerful. Tons of molten lava shoot up and flow down the mountain's slope. It may seem like these motorcyclists are riding at high speed, but in reality, they had stopped because of a storm. However, due to the wind, there was an illusion of rapid motion. Have you ever seen a fire tornado? These guys were incredibly lucky to witness it in person. A fire broke out in the desert, and at the same time, a strong whirlwind formed. It lifted not just dust, but also fire into a towering column. It's an incredibly beautiful sight, as enormous tongues of flame and dust rise tens of meters into the air. A massive fire broke out in a city, and a huge cloud of smoke began rising into the sky. Due to the wind, it started to resemble a giant tornado. In time-lapse footage, it looks truly amazing. The diameter of the column reaches hundreds of meters. As the fire intensified, the pillar of flames could be seen for tens of kilometers from various parts of the city. The cloud was so thick that almost no sunlight was able to pass through it. It looks like an apocalypse had begun. Drivers were traveling on the highway when they suddenly encountered a massive tornado. It looked like a wall of dust and debris moving towards the cars. Notice the tree in the shot. The wind is blowing with tremendous force. The drivers decided to stop and wait it out. If I were in their place, I'd be driving away as fast as I could. The tornado started moving toward the cars, and in just a moment, the tree disappeared into the thick column of dust, followed by an orange van that was parked ahead. The driver who filmed this heard debris crashing into his car. He probably regretted staying instead of driving away. A man was lucky enough to capture the moment of a landslide in the mountains. A huge chunk of earth, with various greenery growing in it, started sliding down. Notice how perfectly the landslide happened along the edge of the mountain road. Perfectionists will definitely appreciate this. In Odessa, Ukraine, heavy rain has caused significant problems for locals. Strong water flows have flooded some streets. Water poured into the basements of buildings and underground parking lots. These scenes resemble clips from Titanic. The residents can only hold their heads in despair as the basement fills with water. The steps leading to the seafront turn into a real waterfall with tons of water flowing from the streets into the sea. Some, however, didn't give up and started fighting the elements on their own. A woman began scooping out water with a simple bucket. Do you think she managed to save her home from the flood? Owners of a small seaside restaurant in Begur, Spain, captured the aftermath of a storm. Their summer terrace was flooded, and the tables and chairs were swept away by the current. Now, it's a unique cafe situated in the middle of a raging river with a waterfall. Living in a riverside house is beautiful but dangerous. The current eroded the bank, leaving the house hanging over the edge. In the end, it couldn't withstand it and collapsed into the water. The massive two-story villa was completely destroyed. Notice how the nearby houses are also on the verge of collapsing into the water. A group of friends decided to ski and snowboard down a mountain. They were flown to the summit by helicopter. The group had no idea how their adventure would end. The friends prepared to start their descent though. One man equipped with an action camera began skiing. Everything had been well until suddenly he found himself in the path of an avalanche. He saw a massive layer of snow start to move ahead of him. The wave of snow knocked him off his feet. He was terrified as his skis and legs got stuck in the snow. He began sliding down with the massive snow, and at first glance it might seem safe or even fun, but getting caught in the heart of an avalanche could result in being buried under tons of snow in an instant and losing your life. Thankfully, the skier had a special backpack designed for such situations. He pulled a cord, inflating a rescue airbag to prevent him from sinking into the snow. Still, the avalanche dragged him along, so he tried grabbing onto the snow. After sliding several dozen meters, the avalanche finally stopped. The man was buried in snow and couldn't free himself, so he waited for his friends. He quickly came to his aid. They dug him out and ensured he wasn't injured. He will definitely remember this experience for the rest of his life. Luckily, it ended with just a minor scare. The aftermath of the flood in Hong Kong is extraordinary. The river has almost overflowed its banks. Just look at the wild torrents of water. Up above, you can see a massive, raging waterfall that could literally sweep everything away in its path. Meanwhile, people are still walking across the bridge. This is extremely dangerous, as the destructive force of the water is unpredictable. At any moment, the bridge could collapse, taking cars and dozens of lives with it. The city is surrounded by powerful currents. Water nearly covered the cars parked by the roadside. The nearby buildings are also being flooded. Public transport and the metro have come to a halt due to the flood. Water quickly flowed into the underground tunnels, turning them into swimming pools. Many cars are now submerged. Notice how only the roofs of some vehicles are visible. There's a lot of debris floating around, carried by the current. Some owners have permanently lost their cars. The current swept them away, and they ended up in the rivers. One car was overturned and carried along at a great speed. Some people went out to see the impressive aftermath of the flood. I wonder, why does this man need an umbrella? Is he really afraid of getting wet while standing waist deep in water? Some daring drivers decided to navigate the flooded roads. Potholes have formed on the roads as the ground was washed away. Cars that were swept along by the current have fallen into them. Several drivers barely escaped being caught under a massive landslide when it began on a mountain. Rocks, hundreds of tons of soil, and trees started falling onto the road. This flow instantly blocked the passage. The drivers quickly reversed to avoid getting trapped under the landslide. During the flood in the mountains, roads turned into rivers. The water, with tremendous force, eroded the ground and destroyed everything in its path. Landslides and floods caused the destruction of homes. Even a multi-story building couldn't withstand the steep slope and collapsed, crushing a small house next to it. Mountain landslides can flatten entire streets and neighborhoods built on hillsides. Concrete supports crumble in an instant, like matchstick houses. The water flows carry fallen trees, which can destroy houses and crush cars in their path. This is how drainage systems are cleared, as they get clogged with fallen leaves, branches, and other debris to prevent roads from being washed away during rains. A major flood has struck the capital of Hungary. The Dunave River overflowed its banks and began flooding the surrounding streets. In these shots, it's impossible to tell where the riverbank once was. Road signs are now in the middle of the water. The water is approaching the Parliament building. Such a severe flood hasn't occurred in many years. The last time the water level reached its peak was in 2013. People are watching as the level gradually rises to that mark. Part of the Riverside Promenade, where locals and tourists used to stroll, has been closed due to flooding, and many people are coming to this spot to witness it. The metro had to be shut down because their water started flooding the tunnels, and as a precaution, entrances are being blocked with sandbags in case the water level continues to rise to prevent it from entering. What impressed you the most? Let us know down in the comments section, and don't forget to like this video to support us. You'll find many more interesting compilations on our channel. Stay with us, and see you next time.